Let's get rid of the idea of I'm in a dead end job. I don't have a. Let's get rid of that idea, right? Let's identify what industry we're in and what value can we extract out of this industry. What value can we extract, right? And then, yo, my name is Coach Boz. I'm a two-time college dropout who turned an entry-level job into a 10-year career in less than 6 months. And I think I could do the same thing for you. Stay tuned.
And I've been chosen by my state, feel like, look, wait, I'm not the 2-3, I was picked first, I'm the, wait. And I've been traveling around my country for a minute. Every state I go, I find rings. I feel like I'm LeBron James. In Cleveland, this for you, it gotta be, homie. I'm from the land, so understand my people gotta be hungry.
Welcome on in. If it's your first time in, make sure you do me a favor and hit the like button. Only subscribe if you find value in this content. And today, I think I want to talk about the myth of a dead-end job. That's right, the myth of a dead-end job. A lot of times, people call jobs dead-end jobs truly because they're not ready or willing to put the work in to actually get the most out of a dead-end job. So let's talk through what most people, and we're not going to use like actual definitions today. I just want to kind of go through what we feel is a dead-end job, right? A lot of times people might feel a dead-end job is something like McDonald's, right? McDonald's might seem like a dead-end job. Another dead-end job might be any type of factory work. Another dead-end job might be any type of call center, right? These are three types of jobs that people would consider to be dead-end jobs. And I think a lot of times those are just called dead-end jobs because they're the easiest jobs to get. And those jobs all have high turnover rates, right? But what I'm here to tell you is that you can flip any one of those types of jobs into a long-term career. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So the reason I'm so passionate about this is because I know someone who took a high school job at McDonald's and flipped it over the course of 15-ish years into being a franchisee. I think that's the right way you say it, right? But they oversee multiple McDonald's now. I know someone who was able to take an entry-level factory job, utilize the reimbursement, the college reimbursement programs that they had, and was able to put themselves through college for free and turn themselves into an engineer in that job. And I know people who have gone into entry-level call center jobs and flipped that into careers in different industries, right? How do we do this? Well, I think we first have to understand what is a job. Why are we going to a job? One of the reasons why we're going to a job is to just get some extra money or to get some money at all, right? Sometimes it's not about getting a career. Sometimes it is just about getting a job. And sometimes these entry-level jobs are the only level jobs we can get because we might be in college, in high school. Maybe our career or maybe the degree we've gotten isn't really applicable. We're gonna use the regular underwater basket weaving, right? But like maybe those kinds of jobs, or maybe a job is not looking for that particular skill or degree, right? And so what sometimes you need to do is just get a job that's easy to get into. What's another reason why you might get a job? Honestly, to have something to do, right? Some of us, like if we are left to our own devices, we'll be spending money we don't actually have, maxing out credit cards, doing a whole bunch of stuff that's really like debaucherous type of things, right? What does the Bible say? An idle mind is a devil's workshop, right? So if we don't have something to do, we're probably doing something we don't need to be doing, right? And another reason why you might want to get a job is to increase your skills. And that's what we're going to talk about today. That's why there is no such thing as a dead end job. If you are working anywhere, you've got to be able to identify what pieces of this work can I utilize, take, and move into a different industry or a different job or a different career moving forward, right? And at some point, we're going to talk about what is resume writing and all that other stuff. But today, we're just going to talk about pouring into that quote unquote dead end job, but what I like to call an entry level job, right? And the reason a job is dead end is because you're not utilizing what you're doing to get to another level, either in that organization or in your career, right? So, like I said, there's 3 reasons you get a job: to get some extra money, to have something to do, or to skill stack. So what can we take from any entry level job? We can utilize the skill of just being on time. You cannot undervalue punctuality. You cannot undervalue punctuality. So that's the first thing, is being on time. Being on time puts you in position to be there more often when important decision makers are available. We'll say that again. Being on time puts you in position to be there when decision makers are in the building, right? Why is that important? Because the more people see you, the more opportunities that come up will fall into your lap, right? There's practical applications. I'll tell my stories later, but being on time, right? Another thing you can learn is being communicative. What does this mean? This means calling out things that might be hindrances to you, and or slowing the whole operation down. Don't be a complainer, right? Don't just be in there complaining about this don't work and this don't work and this is trash. Don't do that. If you see an opportunity, let your boss know. Chances are they see that same opportunity, but they're so busy working through the day to day that they don't have the time or the capacity to fix any of the problems that you've identified as problems, right? These are probably real problems that you've identified, right? But if you're not speaking up and learning how to advocate for yourself, like, you're not taking any of these skills. You are in a dead end job, right? You are effectively in a dead end job because you're not taking the skill stacking. You're not taking any of the opportunities to be in the same room as other people. And you're not taking opportunities to speak up and show your value in different ways, right? And so those are some of the ways and some of the things that I think we need to just kind of press into when we talk through what a dead end job is, right? And so I think I want to give some advice to people that may or may not be in dead end jobs. Ask yourself, is there anything, and we'll talk about resumes on another video, is there anything that you're doing that you can broadly express that is adding value, right? Maybe you're at McDonald's and your main thing, like maybe you're just running the cash register and then helping out and helping. Listen, I've worked in all these avenues, by the way. I've worked in factories. I've worked in food. I've worked in social services. I've worked in sales, right? And so how am I able to get to a 10-year career? I was able to skill stack. I was able to identify what I'm learning and make it very, very palatable for a resume. So what are you doing if you're working a cash register? What are you doing if you're working a cash register? That's customer service, right? You're learning how to do well with customer service. Say you're at a cash register and you've identified, hey, having 3 cash registers open isn't really helpful. We need to make a better flow in the restaurant to make sure that people aren't lined up on the walls. What can you call that? Customer management, right? Innovation and improving processes, right? So when someone says, like, what did you do at McDonald's? You can say that I was instrumental in customer service, and in improving our customer management process of moving people through a line that made it way more efficient, right? Like, these are the types of words you can utilize, right? So again, is McDonald's a dead end job, or do you not know how to express or to extract the value and express your value in a job? These are also going to be different videos, right? If you're in a factory, when someone calls off, pick up that extra shift. Again, if you're a man and you're single, I would even say if you're not single, right? If you feel like you're working at a dead end job, you have no excuse. The only reason your job has not, if your job is dead end and it's not putting you in position to get promoted or to be able to use those skills to transfer them to another place, you're just not valuable. Sorry. You just haven't shown any value in what you're able to do. That's a you problem, right? And so these are the types of things that might be uncomfortable to some, but truly, this is something that you have to wrestle with, right? If you're in a factory, pick those extra shifts up. If you're in a factory, sign up for that other position that has this glaring need in it, and you put your name down there. If they ask, do you know how to do it? Say, I know how to learn. Right? Be willing to learn these other skills, stack these skills. What could they help you with? You never know. All right. I never thought that me being a 19-year-old in a factory could help me identify process. Right? Now I'm working with processes that have nothing to do with factory, but a process is a process is a process, right? A standard operating procedure is just how do we get from here to here? A process is a process. So I've identified, I'm learning how to do processes in a factory. Well, 15 years later, now I'm putting processes in place for social services and things like that. A process is a process is a process. So just keep that in mind, right? If you want to talk through, how can I get out of this dead end job? Maybe you don't want to get out of the dead end job. Maybe you're not extracting enough value out of it. And maybe you're not valuable to that job. And then we'll say, so I said the factory example, I said the fast food example. I probably shouldn't have used McDonald's. I probably should have said fast food, and maybe I'll just bleep it out and you'll just guess that I'm talking about this. Right. But the other thing is in sales, right? So sales is an interesting thing. What you want to do with sales is you just want to keep at it and not get too, you cannot get bogged down by the no's because you don't get paid from the no's. You get paid from the yeses. So don't spend your energy on the no's. Learn why it was a no and plug that into the next call, right? Being headstrong in sales is going to get you. Sales is the foundation of so much of what we're doing. To get from job to job, you have to sell yourself. Right? You have to know how to take what someone else needs and explain why the thing that you have is more valuable than the money in their pocket. That's it. Right? So when you're trying to get a job, you're trying to say the money that you have, this salary, this $50,000 or whatever you're trying to get is less valuable than what I have to offer you. So you're better off giving me that money than keeping it, because I'm going to be a huge value to you and a huge asset to you. That's all sales is. The money in your pocket is less valuable than the service or the good that I have to sell you. That's it. That's all sales is. And you have to find that sweet spot. Right. And so if you're in sales, you are in the perfect position to skill stack. The perfect position. Why do I say that? Because sales is learning how to talk to people, learning how to put together a good script, learning how to read people's cues, learning how to find where your value can be. You can take so many skills out of sales and flip them, even if it's quote unquote just a call center. Telesales is no different than in-person sales, right? You're just able to manage to run through way more leads on telesales than you are in-person sales. If anything, you can hone your skills so much better because you have 100 leads you can hit in 2 hours, 3 hours, right? And so sales is another place where, again, there's no such thing as a dead-end job. You just might be a deadbeat worker. Right? So let's, at the end of this video is over, right? What are we going to do? Let's get rid of the idea of I'm in a dead end job. Let's get rid of that idea, right? Let's identify what industry we're in and what value can we extract out of this industry? What value can we extract? Right? And then what value can we add back to the industry or to another industry? Right? So let's do that. Let's dispel this woe is me, I don't have a degree. Let's get rid of that. Let's not talk about that. Let's look at where you are right now. If you ain't got no job, I can't do nothing for you. You got to get a job. It's the first step. Especially as a man, I ain't got no sympathy for y'all. Get a job. Any job. Any job. Pour into that job. If you got to get 4 jobs, get 4 jobs. But I do suggest you find out where you can pour energy into. It sucks, especially at the bottom. But once you grow those skills and you grow your value, it is so much more worth it. Get a job. Figure that out. But once you're in the job, identify that it is not a dead-end job. You just don't know how to get that value out of it. All right. Like I said, Coach Boz here. I have a lot of value to give to you all. Things that I've learned, mistakes that I've made over the course of my entire working life, which is 20 years at this point. And I've been able to do it without a degree, with a ton of failure, but I've seen a ton of success, and I want to share that with you. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me, give me your success stories of how you flipped a dead end job into a career. And if you just think that I'm off, I really want to hear from you. If you think, man, you just don't know what's going on, you've been in your career too long, you just think that you know this job market, blah, 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 let me know. Let's have a conversation. Because I would love to hear it. If I'm wrong, listen, I'm willing to learn. I'm trying to extract value out of you. All right? Peace.